Black women have been working in America since they dropped our ancestors off in the boats. And so you think about the feminism movement, half of the movement was just to get women in the workforce. However, Black women have always been in the workforce. In fact, when we wanted to stay at home with our children, they didn't allow us to be stay-at-home moms. I don't know if you guys are understanding this. We raised the white women's children. And so for us to sit here and fight for the right to work, it honestly makes no sense. It's a huge contradiction. Each episode may explore sensitive or controversial topics, from love and loss to conspiracies, cultural critique, and unpopular truths. A space built for those who think deeper, question harder, and aren't afraid to sit in the tensions between extremes. Take care of your mind and spirit while listening. And so you ask yourself, why were Black women so put into the feminism movement? And that was by design. So I'm going to put a clip of Gloria Steinman. Again, this is the woman who started the feminism movement. And essentially she's saying in this clip that without women of color, there would be no feminism movement. And so, in other words, they used us to start the feminism movement because you can't call it feminism. You can't call it, all women and rights for women with only one kind of woman. Because at the time, white women were trying to have more rights for themselves in a specific manner. However, Black women were already working. So let's take a listen to this clip.
And we can do simple things. We can just never show up in a photograph if it's supposed to be representative of the women's movement. If it's only white women, or on a panel if it's only white women, or sometimes there's a rational reason. But if it represents the women's movement, then it has to be diverse. And people talk to me about white feminism. I say, are you kidding me? If it's white, it can't be feminism.
You can't have the feminism movement without women of color. And we don't get taught this. No one speaks about this. And yet somehow today, Black women are the most tied into the feminism movement. We are the least married in society. Whereas our white counterparts, they start talking about marriage as young as, fresh out of high school. And their mothers are talking to them about being wives. Whereas Black women, the first thing we're talked about is, you better get that degree. And, which is nothing wrong. I am not anti-education at all. However, I think we have our priorities completely mixed up when it comes to purpose in life and when it comes to gratification, when it comes to, again, our worth. Because now we have women saying things like, marriage is just a piece of paper, right? But yet they fight just as hard for the piece of paper of a degree, or to chase the bag, to get money. Money's paper too. Your degree is paper too. That LLC, the W-2, the business contract, that's all paperwork, honey. And so to sit here and to minimize marriage as to something as just a piece of paper is where we are now as a society of women. And it's just mind-blowing, the brainwashing that's put on us, that was done to us. And again, all throughout culture and through social media is what we're seeing is, well, not everyone wants to be married, and marriage is just a piece of paper. These same women who are saying, by the way, that marriage is just a piece of paper are the same women who are crying over men who they're not legally tied to. And then they turn around and brag about signing student loan debt for a degree that majority of the time they're not going to end up using. And I really don't say this to be disrespectful to anyone or to belittle anyone, but we have to start really thinking and using our brains and using our common sense, right? Again, I have nothing against college, but I will say that there is a lot of college propaganda where we'll tell women and we'll tell young Black women to go to college no matter what. Go to college, and that's the most important thing. Then they come out with a degree that doesn't benefit them and does nothing for them. Meanwhile, when they're all throughout college, they're going through man to man to man to man, because again, marriage is not something that is normalized in the Black community. Whereas again, their white counterparts, same age as them, are getting married and living lives, having children with their husbands, whereas Black women now have however many baby fathers. And again, they're having baby showers before they're having weddings, if they're even having weddings at all. But why is it that we normalize baby mama culture, but we don't, and we shame wives? That's my whole thing, is why is it that, for example, the picture I showed you of the young woman earlier who wanted to get married to a young man, and she's like, but in the Black community, it's not something that, is very, what's the word? Pushed, or something that's celebrated. We talk about not having money for weddings, or that weddings are way too difficult and it's way too much work, but then we throw these elaborate baby showers, and we treat these baby showers as if they're like weddings. And that's why you see so many young women, especially unfortunately Black women, having these extravagant baby showers, because to them that is their wedding, and to them that is the most celebration that they're going to have, because in their head and in their mind they don't see a wedding in their future. And of course, I don't think that marriage is for everybody. I think some people can be single, should be single, prefer to be single. However, that is not the majority, and that is not the truth. But no man is an island at the end of the day. So I don't think it's realistic to say that all of these women, and the large percentage of women, want to be single for the rest of their lives. I think it's something that they're telling themselves, because it's like what they call reverse psychology.
Marriage is just a piece of paper. I don't want to be married. I'm happy single, and I have all this money to myself, and I can do this and I can do that.
It's kind of like I was telling you earlier. It's like you tell yourself this to convince yourself of that. Glamorize the idea of money, like I just said, and freedom. But we don't talk about the emotional cost of living unpartnered, unsupported, and unprotected in the long run. So the truth is, many women have been taught to build everything except a home, build your brand, build your bag, build your audience, but don't build a family. Don't build trust. Don't build covenant. And then we wonder why a lot of women are tired, unfulfilled, and it's this glamorization of singlehood that I'm seeing, and like I said, especially in the Black community. And it's crazy because these same women will glamorize, I had this many abortions, or, go up to Duke Dennis and offer it to give him a BJ. And it's like, it's almost embarrassing, to say the least, because this is the culture of Black women now, and it's really sad. Kudos to us, we're the most educated, but at what cost and to what purpose? Because at the end of the day, your degree is not going to be with you when you're sitting at that nursing home in your old age. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I don't think people think about that. They have the bag, they can afford the nurse to take care of them, but when you sit down at the end of your life, what are you going to say was your fulfillment or your purpose? And like I said, the reason I have to, say this, because I don't think everyone is meant to be in a relationship, but I don't think that is the majority. I think that is a small minority of people. These same women will be living with the man for years, raising his kids, sharing bills, but are scared of the word wife. And many women have this fear of marriage more than they have a fear of dysfunction. And that, I think, is something that needs to be talked about. There's this clip of this woman. She's really big on TikTok, and she said something so hilarious. I want to play the clip for you guys.
How come every time somebody says it's better to wait until you're married before you have kids, people are always like, well, he can still leave you even if you're married. He can still leave you even if... Duh! The same way you can still die in a car accident even if you have your seatbelt on, but it's probably still a good idea to put that seatbelt on when you get in the car, right? Marriage protects you and gives you benefits that being a baby mama does not. Okay? So if you want to be a baby mama, that's your call. You're grown. You can do whatever you want. But stop trying to make women who want to wait until they're married before they have kids sound like they're crazy. Thank you.
She's like, duh. Like, but you still put your seatbelt on in the car, right? The thing is, a lot of women think that marriage is just because, or just something you do just to do it, and there's no purpose of it. However, marriage is so beneficial for women, and we're going to talk more about the benefits of marriage, because I think a lot of women have this misconstrued idea for marriage, and I think that comes a lot from, like I said, culture, social media, and just kind of, like I said, this fear of marriage. So before I get into that, I want to get into toxic femininity, the fake sisterhood, and the power in a woman's softness. And this is really important to the next part, because I think one of the biggest lies women have been sold is that softness is weakness. But it's the very thing that makes us so powerful, and it's the thing that we are being taught to suppress, right? And this all leads into the fear of the marriage, and marriage is just a piece of paper, and I'm gonna chase the bag, and I want freedom, all these different things that we're being kind of taught now. Femininity is not about submission to a man. It is about alignment with God, the ability to nurture, to create, to receive, to influence. We glorify nowadays being unbothered, being detached. And I'm guilty of that too. When I was saying things like I hate men, or, I'm never going to be with a man. This was things I was telling myself because from the past, previous damage that was done from men that I had been with, I would tell myself like, I'm a city girl, which is like, I'm outside, I'm focused on me, my degree, honey. I don't need these men. I don't need these little boys. Most of the time they are just little boys. A lot of the time men are not ready for commitment. But again, I do think it's women who are training them to be like that. For example, the young woman going up to Duke Dennis. Oh, I can give you a BJ. Yeah. Why do you think men nowadays, why do you guys think men nowadays don't think they need to commit to a woman? Is because women, we don't necessarily like lead, but when it does come to certain things, we do lead. And when it comes to kind of setting the tone for a man, nowadays women are faster to open their legs for a man than they are to ask that man to commit to them. And that is just the sad reality that we live in. A woman will literally sleep with a man, but then abort his child and say, well, he was a loser and he was a good for nothing and he just played video games all day, but yet you opened your legs for him. The world taught us to be hard so that we wouldn't be hurt, and that armor is basically keeping us from being loved properly, and keeping love out. We're being taught to suppress our femininity, and there's strength in our femininity. We'll warn each other about being played, but never how to love well, or never teach each other what love is or learn what real love is. But we'll be like, don't get played by him. You better play him first before he plays you, instead of understanding what real love is. And so that's just kind of like, that's just what we're dealing with here, It's just a lot of backwardness. And when a woman does choose to be soft, or she does choose covenant, she becomes enemy number one. And again, I'm speaking from experience. A great example of this is Nara Smith. She doesn't call herself a trad wife. I think that's what she says. But basically, she's known to be one of the biggest trad wives, which is short for traditional wife. She loves to cook for her family. She's a model. Her and her husband are very wealthy. They make good money off TikTok and modeling and whatnot. They have 3 children, 1 on the way or whatnot. And she's very elegant, soft-spoken, and you can tell she's in a very loving and happy marriage, right? The girls are not with it, okay? The girls are like, why are you trying to be so soft-spoken, and just wait until that man leaves you? And she just announced she's having her 4th child, and the comments were just horrendous. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know. I would have tried my best to keep it a secret, because the comments were just horrendous. Like, oh, do you need a TV in your room, girl? And stuff like that. And it's just an example of like the negativity you get when you do choose to be a traditional wife, or you do choose to be more soft-spoken and not to be outside, especially when you're young. Because Nara Smith is actually, I think she's my age. She's 23. So they're basically, and mind you, she's in a marriage happily. She's very wealthy. There's no reason why she can't have, the amount of kids that she wants without hearing any comments. But that's just, again, where we are now as a society, which brings me to the topic of girls, right? They're girls until you do something different, or until you do something that's kind of against the grain. And that's the whole thing, is like, you'll watch an Instagram reel, right? And you'll see a girl who says something like, I love that he lets me stay at home and he's so good to me and I take care of him and I will cook and clean and all this and he just lets me sit here and be beautiful. And the comments will be on some, until he cheats on you, and so you're basically just using him, and I hope you're happy being a dependent, and things like that. And I'm not kidding, those are the comments that you often see. Whereas you see a video of a girl who comes on and says,
I'm happy with my dog. I just bought me some Starbucks, and yeah, I'm single in my 30s with no kids, and I'm so happy.
And the comments will be like, yes, girl, you go, girl. God forbid there's one comment that says, but what about kids? You don't want, you want to be able to have kids before you get too old. They get crucified in the comments like, she doesn't have to have kids. Why is it always like that? Da, da, da. But then once the other way around and you want to have kids young, it's all these comments are allowed. They're acceptable. Oh, you're too young to be having all these kids. You're only 23. Like, that's not okay. It's so unhealthy. It's my body, my choice, until you do something that the group of girls, the girlies, would not agree with. We fought for feminism and we fought for women's rights until the woman chooses to be a trad wife, and it's like, why would you choose that? You're gonna bring us backwards. Like, those are the comments that we get. These are the girls, and it's like, until you do something they wouldn't support, for example, Megan Thee Stallion supporters, I'm not trying to get on their bad side again, guys, the Megan supporters do not like me. Anyways, yeah, I basically beefed with them because I was on some free Tory, which I still am, and these same girls literally sent death threats and like ill wishes to me and whatnot. But yeah, God forbid you disagree with a group of women, and then all of a sudden the same ones who want to protect black women are sending you death threats and wishing death on your children. So we're not going to get too much into that, because you know what, they still probably want to beef with me, and I'm not trying to do all that. So yeah, if you're not bitter, you basically get rejected. And the internet right now is like ran by a group of bitter women who just like basically hate women who choose to do, even though it's their choice, anything that is, well, happy. Yeah, if they choose to be happy, especially if they're with a man, yeah, no, that's just not allowed. If you love and respect men, you're a pick-me, you're self-hating. So it's very toxic. I would say it's a toxic sisterhood based on conditional support. Only, your sister as long as you agree with my trauma. And that brings me to this viral video that's going around. It's basically, guys, a woman baked a cake for a man on her first date. Okay, she found out that the boy likes carrot cake. I think it was carrot cake. And she essentially baked him a cake. And when I tell you, the internet dragged her for filth, okay? I'm gonna show you some examples of the comments that the women were saying. I think I have a clip of this young woman basically telling her, stop overperforming. Stop trying to be the best cook. Stop trying to be the best cleaner. Just stop. And I'm gonna try to see if I can play that clip for you guys.
Stop the overperforming. Stop the, I can cook, I can clean. Like, stop it. Stop it right now. Men are supposed to be auditioning for you. Okay, men are supposed to be the ones who are trying to get you to like them.
Mind you, she likes to bake. She made him the cake because she was having conversation with him, found out he liked carrot cake and hasn't had one since his parents divorced, and his birthday was Sunday. She didn't even give him the whole cake. She gave him a big slice out the cake and gave the rest to her friends. Y'all trying to convince her to be nasty, telling her this is a new age. Women shouldn't be doing this. Have him spend on you. Don't do nothing for him. Bruh, this is why a lot of y'all lonely, bruh.
The internet was just not with it. So basically, showing kindness is now considered embarrassing. And I'm just wondering, why is it that effort and joy are signs of weakness in our generation? But again, sleeping with a guy is sexual liberation. Are we seeing the issue, or like, do I have to keep going? Like, I'm not sure. And when I tell you guys, toxic femininity is real, and it's something that I will be discussing on this show. It's basically, now to summarize it, it's when a woman weaponizes their bitterness, their fear, and their trauma, and they call it empowerment. And that is just so much of what we're seeing today. So yes, that brings me to my next point of transactional love and the fear of marriage. So I'm gonna show you guys this clip. It's basically this young woman explaining her view of why marriage is a bad decision for most women. It is a little bit lengthy, so try to follow along.
I know the TikTok sheikhs are gonna come for my neck, but I don't really believe in marriage. Not in modern day, at least, because I would say that the majority of the time it doesn't work out. And even when it doesn't end in divorce, it ends in absolutely hating and resenting each other towards the end of life. And the reality is that in most marriages, women get the short end of the stick. Like, women are the ones who have to sacrifice their careers, their health, their well-being to take care of their husband and the children. And in modern days, a lot of women are still working at the same time as doing all of that other stuff that has always been an obligation for women. I'm not like a psychopath, so there's still a part of me that like craves it. Like, I yearn for it, but logically, I just don't really care for it because I don't think that it's gonna benefit me, honestly. I feel like it's actually going to stunt my growth. It's going to stunt my career. It's just going to stunt me in so many ways, and I'm going to grow to hate that person. I didn't have to be in a marriage to have observed that in literally hundreds of marriages of the people around me.
She said a whole lot there. Basically, a lot what she was saying is, what do I gain as a woman? Which kind of leads me to think that people think that marriage is something that's kind of transactional instead of something that is a partnership or something that should be equal and something that should be covenant loving, right? So you heard a lot about how will I benefit and how will that hurt me and what about my degree and I'm gonna have to be doing this and I'm gonna have to be doing that. And so basically, to sum it up, that is why marriage is a bad decision for women, because what do we gain is basically the question she's asking. I'm going to show you guys another clip of a young black woman saying why she will never get married and why she doesn't support the idea of marriage.
Welcome back. I talk a lot on my platforms about why I'm child free and why I'm also anti-marriage. But I'm anti-marriage for myself. I'm not anti-marriage for my friends and family. I just don't see myself ever getting married. Another reason why I don't want to get married is because I am not about to go through the BS that you go through in a divorce, right? Losing assets, having to divide assets. It is my own personal opinion that most marriages are going to end in divorce anyways. Most of them already have, if you really look around. I know plenty of people who are divorced. I know plenty of people who failed at marriage multiple times because they've been married multiple times. So at the end of the day, that's just not a risk I'm willing to take, right? And for the same reasons why I don't want to have kids, right? The number one way I can guarantee that I'll never be a single mother or a baby mama or whatever is to not have kids, right? You have to protect yourself from things. You can't control the law, right? I've seen a lot of people lose things, men and women, lose things in marriages and divorces that was very unfair.
Now, this young lady is basically, what she's saying is just a bunch of negativity. Just like immediately what stuck out to me was that she was just saying, well, divorce, right? Which to me tells me immediately like it's just fear. So what we're seeing, a lot of the reasons behind the lack of wanting to get married is just kind of this selfish mentality of what do I gain? What about me? What do I benefit? And then also the fear of, what about divorce? And what do I lose? And how will it hurt? This I'm the prize culture has gone way too far. It's no longer questions like, what can we build together? And what were we called to do together and create together? And this is something that women are being taught. There's no more effort, no more mutuality, no contribution. Everything is kind of just me. He should do everything. I should just exist, which is not empowerment, guys. It's entitlement. Yeah, it's basically killing any reciprocity. That's like out the window. And that is kind of the root of love, is not so self-centered. Love has become about gain, has lost the concept of growth, and it's now transactional. who pays, who benefits, who's winning. It's all about what do I get and what do I gain from this relationship, which I think women are losing the mark. And this is why so many women now, again, especially Black women, are single, because, you know, I know a lot of people or a lot of women don't like Kevin Samuels because of how he speaks and kind of his rhetoric, but he says a lot of the truth in what he says. There are women out here who have, you know, are low quality women who want these high quality men, which, you know, like, that's cool. Have self-esteem, but at the same time be realistic, right? Not only that, but it's kind of like, what about me? He need to do this for me, he need to do that for me, right? When women can't even grasp the concept of submitting to their husbands or submitting to their men. And it's like simple things like that. And I'm not trying to be a pick me, because I know that sounds crazy, because I'm not perfect and I still struggle with a lot of these things as a young person who just got married. But it's kind of like we're losing the goal, right? And that's why so many people say, like, they miss old school love and they miss how love used to be. But it starts with you. How can you say you want old school love or real love and true love, but yet when you think of love, all you think about is how do you benefit and what can that person do for me? You know what I mean? Like, it's just not real. If you choose to be a nurturer, or you choose to be a homemaker or anything like that nowadays, it's like so mind-blowing for other women, and it's like they hate to see it. And as I told you before, being a homemaker, being a nurturer is not easy, right? But realistically, if you look on a man's perspective as well, he's providing the house for you. You're creating the home. Both things are not easy to do, right? It takes a team. And so that's why when you're thinking, how do I benefit from this? It doesn't make any sense, because realistically, how does the man benefit as well? If men started to think that way, and if men do think that way, then there would be no marriages at all, you know? But marriage isn't just about how do you benefit. It's not just about, well, what if we divorce, and all these different things and different ideas and concepts and cultural lies that we're being told. Marriage realistically comes back to love and covenant and partnership, right? So yeah, like, women are forgetting the fact that you'll be with a man for however many years, but yet, God forbid, he's in the hospital and you have a child with this man, you don't even have a say in what happens to him. You're not even considered family. You're just a girlfriend, right? His mom's gonna go in there and tell the doctor what needs to be done, whereas you're the one who literally carried his child. You're not even gonna have a say, because, you know, marriage is just a piece of paper. It's so much more. Not only is it that, but for women who are worried about, you know, themselves and things like that, which you should be. I do think women should be educated, and you should always have a backup plan. But that's not what love is. Love is not about being prepared for the worst outcome, right? Because then trust goes out the window. Hard questions, things that actually matter, people don't do that anymore. And so when they do get with someone, all of a sudden they break up 2 years later in the relationship, and then be like, oh, like, why'd you guys break up? Oh, they didn't want kids. Like, bro, you didn't realize that, like, earlier when you were dating the person? Like, from month one, you didn't ask them if they wanted kids or not? Like, that shouldn't be something you find out 3 years into your relationship, right? So yeah, I do think that people should ask the harder questions, vet out, and date with intention. The thing is, the world's view of marriage and the biblical view of marriage are very, very different. Like, the world's view of marriage, it's like divorce is so common, so normalized. It's honestly very sad. Biblically, the word covenant, it means basically like, obviously a promise, but it's a lot deeper than that. The world's view of marriage is basically just, as people say, it's a piece of paper. It's just a legal documentation. However, biblically, it's more. Marriage is more. It's like when you marry your person, you guys become one flesh, one person. Biblically, you make a promise with this person, and that is just not to be played with, you know? There's become this obsession with life being about serving just yourself, when in my opinion, life is about serving more than just yourself. Life is about, what do you bring to the world, And that's kind of what brought me to my podcast as well. It's kind of just like, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Right? Because I'm not here to just serve Monea. I'm not here to just make myself happy. Solomon talks about purpose and talks about life. And he lived a very full life. And at the end of it, Solomon says that everything under the sun is meaningless except for what we build in God, is essentially what he came to the conclusion of. He had it all. He had all these wives. He had all the jewels, everything. And his conclusion is that it just all is worthless. And that's why a lot of the times you see a lot of the richest people are still unhappy, right? Because you can buy yourself everything. You can have all the free time in the world. But if you don't have a purpose that's filled with more meaning, especially if it's not surrounded with God in the center, it's meaningless. It has no purpose. That's why so many people will say like they feel empty. They have everything, their life is together, but they feel empty. All I'm going to be doing is submitting to a man and serving him, and what's the point? However, men are biblically supposed to sacrifice their life for their family, lay down their life for their wife, and also they are supposed to be providers according to the Bible. So it's not just what do you get from it, and it's not just you as a woman, you just give all of this and you have all these babies and you sacrifice your body and all this without anything in return. But that shouldn't be the main point of marriage, or what you should be thinking about. It should be about covenant. It should be about love. And I think people are missing that. And I just wanted to add that in because I think, again, we're missing the point and we're missing the purpose. Because all these women, they're going on social media like, I have all the money and all the time in the world and all I do is drink Starbucks. And I'm not tied down by a husband and children. But at the end of the day, what purpose do you have? What are you contributing to the world? Paul is one of my favorite people in the Bible. I think he was the one who said that not everyone, needs to be married. Not everyone is built for that. For the people who feel like maybe they're really not built for marriage, or like that they don't need to be married, they can be celibate. What are you looking for? And what is your purpose? And what are you doing besides drinking Starbucks every day? And doing things that are so self-fulfilling, because I promise you, at the end of your life, when you look back at it, I don't think you want to sit back and say, well, I was able to drink all the Starbucks I wanted to, and my dog Pablo, he's gone now, but he was a great companion. Like, I feel like there should be more. I feel like you are more fulfilled when you don't just serve yourself, but you do serve others. So I just want to end with that. Kind of like when you think of Christmas and you don't understand it but until you get older, but kind of the gift of giving feels sometimes better than the gift of receiving. And I think it's kind of like, I think of it like that, sometimes it is better to give than to receive. If you're tired of hookup culture, tired of shallow love, if you're tired of being told that softness is weakness, I'm here to tell you, you can want more. You do deserve more. You can be loved in covenant, not just in chaos. The world's definition of love is not the truth. Okay, guys, we are being fooled. You can choose legacy over loneliness, okay? And it starts by telling the truth about who you've been and who you are becoming. What is your purpose? Why are you here? And are you here to be more than just a something to somebody? Just a girlfriend, or maybe just a long-term friend, or whatever situationship. Like, I think you are meant for more, especially my young, beautiful Black women. If you're a young Black woman listening to this, more than ever, I think it's important for you to understand that you deserve to be more than just a something to somebody. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please tune in next Monday for the next one. I'm kind of winging it right now. I hope you enjoyed listening to the Morning Dove podcast. Smooches.